Heyo, welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is based on your suggestions. Today's suggestions are relationships, yoga and meditation, my time in India, and how to make a place feel like a home. We're going to start this episode off with some stories from India. So you guys probably know the concept of a bubble, right? Like a bubble is, like your personal area. Don't get in my bubble. Sorry to burst your bubble, that kind of thing. It's the generally accepted space around a person that you want to give respect to that person and let them be them, and maybe give them that space. Yeah, India doesn't necessarily have that concept as much as we do in the West. Actually, our bubbles expanded to 6 feet, what do we call it, for social distancing? So we definitely have bigger bubbles now. But y'all, if you ever have a chance to go over to India or any of the very crowded countries in the world, you're going to notice that there are people who are definitely in your space. Like, even if you just, sit down on a bench, someone will sit down next to you and they're going to be surprisingly close to you, just sitting next to you. Maybe you're on a bus, right? Because there's just so many people on the bus. So now, like, I was riding in Rajasthan between Jaisalmer and Jaipur, and it was such a full bus, right? We got tickets. You'd think that tickets would mean, all right, great, you're going to be riding in a seat, no problem. Well, they still pick up more people. That's just how it works. So as the bus is going, if there's people to pick up, they pick up the people, and now those people just kind of fill in the aisles. And it was a portion of time when I just had this guy, I don't know, maybe in his 40s or so, sitting on the ground in the aisle next to me, just using my leg as his backrest. It's just because that's just normal, It's not necessarily rude. And it may even have been seen strange for me to have been telling him, hey man, can you use this other part of my chair as your backrest, because I don't want you on my leg. Like, I felt strange for that, out of the ordinary. Partly because I thought that, that's just the norm there. And when you are there, that is kind of the norm. When you're talking with someone, they might get close with you. When you're making friends with new people, they might even put an arm around you. Like, they're a lot more physical, friendly than we are in the USA, at least. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. I can definitely sense in some of the other foreigners when they were traveling around India, they weren't fully accepting of it yet. And then, of course, you could meet someone who was very accepting of it, who had been around for a while, and you just kind of let it go, There's not much space, and you just deal with that. And your relationship with each other is pretty peaceful. So, like, another time, I was on a train going from Kerala up to Goa, I believe. Yeah. And I was in sleeper class. I had an upper bunk, but I was still just regular sleeper class. And I took a nap midway through the day, and I woke up because I felt like some fingers touching my back. I was very confused. I woke up and I turned and I see this train absolutely packed with people. Like, they have so little space to stand that they're grabbing onto my bunk just so that they don't fall over, because there's so little space to stand. And we're on a train, right? We're moving. And I could get upset. I could be mad. I could be like, oh, hey, how dare you? But then I see another guy in his bunk, and he looks at me, he smiles, and I look at these people. I'm like, whoa, this is a lot of people. He kind of just laughs with me, acknowledging, yeah, it's a lot of people. And our relationship was peaceful, I'm not going to be upset with them for trying to hold on to something so they don't fall over. I have plenty of room. I actually felt a little bit bad that I wanted to invite some up to my bunk so that they had some space. But then, yeah, I didn't necessarily know who they were. I wasn't sure if I wanted to engage in that type of relationship. Because people and spaces is all there really is. I learned this from a friend of mine, or a guy I met in New Zealand, and he told me this from a guy he met, that everything in the entire world is just people and spaces. And the spaces change and the people change, and that changes how we react to the people and spaces, how we behave. So let's take a moment. I want to have some audience participation, some class participation, if you will. Imagine someone who makes you feel really good. Someone who makes you feel like you are at home. Or you can imagine a place that makes you feel like you're at home, where you feel good, you feel seen, safe, free to be who you want to be, who you like to be. The crazy thing is that when you were thinking about that just now, you actually created some of those feelings. Right? The people around you are the same as they were before you started thinking about that. The space around you is still the same. You didn't go to those people, you didn't go to that place, but you were able to create those feelings. And that's kind of the trick here. Right? I had an experience where I was in a very crowded space, either on a bus or on a train or any of the other places that I was very crowded, and you just have to deal with those crowds, and you accept the thing around you. You accept the people are not going to be harming you, and they don't. And those people can see from your acceptance that you're not going to be harmed, that you will not harm them, and they can trust, and so they can relax as well. Now, this is kind of the practice of meditation. Meditation is allowing you to slow down your reactions. Because the people and spaces, you're not really in control of that. But you are in control of your behavior, your actions, your reactions. The reactions happen before you have a chance to get in there and actually say, hold up, is this what I want to do? And we can be very reactive a lot, This is the normal, natural state of animals. We are animals as humans, and so we react to stuff. Meditation allows us to practice not reacting, which buys us extra time. This kind of gets into a bit of the awareness that I want to share with bubblology, the study of bubbles. Thinking about how we view the world through a bubble, the way I think the world is, and along that bubble, the edges of it is how I think you are. And if I think you are a person who is safe and good to be around, then I can actually create a feeling, a vibration, right? A vibe. I can create a feeling in me that says, I am safe, I am free, I am home, I feel good. And that vibration comes out of me, and you can probably feel it, and then it's probably reflected in you, right? So when you were to think about your friends, family, loved ones that make you feel at home, your memory of that person, or what you know that person to be, is the trigger that allowed you to create the feelings that you are safe and at home. You are creating those feelings. It's your choice to create those feelings. And the people around, they might change, they'll definitely be different throughout your life. The way that you choose to view them is still your choice, right? When I woke up on that train, I could have been very angry and reacted and said, everybody get away from me, don't touch me. And that would have probably changed the vibe entirely, where people around me would maybe give me extra space, or maybe be a little annoyed at me and maybe want to actually touch me more. Or, if my reaction can be intentional, then I can get back exactly what I want. So for an example, if I want to feel the feeling of safety and hominess, then I can imagine that the people in front of me and the space that I'm in is already home. It is kind of a brain hack, and it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but that's where the meditation comes in as a practice, where you have the choice to say, I am home, maybe in your body. Maybe you can say that there's a roof over your head, so you are home. Maybe you can say that you are in your own bedroom with all your stuff, so you are home. Right? We have a lot of stuff that can trigger us to create the feelings, the vibes of being homey, of being home and being comfortable. And that's actually what we like the most about our relationships, at least in my opinion. I think that we enjoy the feeling that we get when we can just fully relax and be ourselves. And when a person in our lives gives us the opportunity to feel that, then we want to hold on to those people naturally, because we like to feel that way and we want to feel more that way. Problems come when those people move on, or if you move to a different space. If you love your bedroom and now you have to move houses to a different state or even different country, it's going to be difficult to feel like home at first. The practice really is in deluding yourself into believing that it's all good. It's all totally fine, right? I wake up and there are 100 people squeezed into this little train car, and it's totally fine. That took a moment for me to accept that it's totally fine, because my natural reaction was, oh my gosh, there's so many people, I need to get out of here. But the meditation, the breathing, the take a moment, it buys time so you have a chance to see how else things could be. Right? Because think about the reactive nature of people. If you are, say, in a new situation, or if somebody is going to, I don't know, say, let's not be together, right? You don't have a chance to be around them anymore. So we're breaking up. The reaction is, oh, no, I don't want this to happen, or I don't want to leave this safe space, so I'm going to reject what it is. That's the reaction. If you were to give a breath, by the time you've had a chance to take a new breath, time has passed. You've had a chance to think longer. You've had a chance to be in the space longer so that other people can maybe add more information or new things can change. And in that time, you can now take the new information and assess that. Because maybe you're in a relationship and you really don't want it to end because of how much that person makes you feel good and how well you can feel at home when you're around them, even just thinking about them or texting them. And to separate means that you don't get that anymore, or at least you might believe you don't get that anymore from them. That's the reaction. But using the meditation, give some breath, take some time, you might be able to see that you didn't know them. You knew who you thought they were. And the thing that you thought you knew, so this idea of who they are, allowed you to feel a feeling of good, safe home. You put out a vibration. You may think that it's them putting a vibration out to you that makes you feel it, maybe, but at the same time, you can create this feeling on your own. So when they leave, and when you part ways, or when you go to a new space, it's very helpful to remember that you are capable of creating the feeling of home, the feeling of comfort and love and being loved, and that the many people and spaces that are available to you in your life that you will interact with, they can fill the role that you need them to fill. Right? If I am walking down the road and there is a stranger, I can use that stranger to fulfill a lot of roles. Maybe I need that stranger to call an ambulance for me because I've been hurt. Or maybe I need that stranger to answer a survey for me because I'm working a job and I need surveys filled out. That stranger can fill the role. Maybe I need that stranger to be a therapist for me in that moment, and I just need to talk. And if that person is willing to just listen, then we can just peacefully walk down the road together, chatting away as strangers or as friends do. And the vibrations that we put out will influence how we talk with each other. I've discovered through my travels, if I treat the people like we are already friends, then the people become my friend. Not even a new friend. They become an old friend because I treat them like an old friend. Right? You and your old friend have a vibration that you put out when you're around each other. A similar vibration that you put out maybe around family or your loved one or your pets. When we look at the world in the idea that we are in a bubble, well, the people and the spaces in front of us, we're actually painting them in with how we choose to view them. So when it comes to problem solving here, an ended relationship, or somebody you're trying to get over, or an imminent move, knowing that you're going to have to make a new home in wherever you're going to be moving to, instead of reacting as an, oh no, I'm going to lose out on some of the things, the spaces and people that I have been using to make me feel comfortable and safe and warm and at home. And now you can flip it and say, I know I have the ability to make my own home, to make my own friends, to create new relationships. And just because your reaction might be to try and save something or prevent yourself from losing something that gives you a lot of comfort, it doesn't mean you have to follow that reaction. Because if you take the time, have some breaths, think about the other opportunities. Well, it might be best that your relationship ended because now someone else can fulfill that role, or maybe you can create that vibe. So what am I saying with all this? I'm saying that we are feeling feelings based on how we are interpreting the world to be. It is our choice how we interpret the world. We are probably going to react to the world and the various people and spaces in front of us. But if you can slow down, give some breaths, or use your breath rather, to slow down, you can shift your perspective back to the feeling of home and love and comfort. Because you were the one that made it in the first place. The people and the spaces are just memories of times when you've made that for yourself before. So think back to those people that you were in love with. Think back to those houses that you stayed in that were just the best to feel at home. And use that feeling from that memory to remind yourself that you can make that again. You know, like a cookbook. You're able to create these feelings as though you're creating a recipe. Yeah, treat it like a cookbook. All right. I'll see you on the next one.